767s, which were to be leased by Dov Zakheim's group. The planes were to be refitted with refueling equipment, including lines and nozzle assemblies. In this enlargement of Flight 175, we can clearly see a cylindrical object under the fuselage and a structure that appears to be attached to the right underside of the rear fuselage section. When seen in comparison, it is obvious that the plane approaching the Trade Center has both these structures, the FTS module, and the mid-air refueling equipment, as configured on the modified Boeing 767 tankers. Of particular interest is the long tube-like anomalous structure under the rear fuselage area of 175. This structure runs along the right rear bottom of the plane. The equipment attached to the underside of the plane which hit the World Trade Center is identical in every single way to the Boeing 767s issued by Dov Zakheim. Another interesting piece of 9/11 evidence is the last 12 seconds of UA-175. Since every amateur videographer in New York City had their cameras pointed up at the burning Tower 1, the second plane strike was filmed from nearly every conceivable angle. Expert analysis of this plane leads to some startling revelations. First, there is the expertly controlled flight characteristics of this plane. During its last 20 seconds of flight, UA-175 made a single corrective maneuver so perfectly timed and executed that it could not possibly have been piloted by human hands.
The lone gunman ran in 2001.
That's right. 2000. It was a mid-season replacement, so we. Oh yeah, right. 2001. We shot in 2000. January 2001. We started airing.
When did you shoot the episode with the government secretly hijacking a jet by remote control to fly to the World Trade Center?
Yeah, that we shot in March of 2000. So that's almost a full 9 months before it actually happened.
Who particularly wrote that episode?
I think Vince Gilligan was the head writer on that one.
And who else was involved?
And then it was Frank Spotnitz, John Scheibman, and then Chris Carter did a rewrite on that as well.
On the morning of September 11th, 2001, you see a plot from the TV show you were in, to some extent, coming true. What did you think on September 11th?
I didn't even put it together till I got a call from one of the writers. It was Vince Gilligan. He called and he said, "Are you watching this?" And I go, "Yeah." "It's weird. Why are you calling?" He goes, "Because the show." And then it took me a while to go, "Oh yeah, the pilot, good God, it's exactly what they wrote." And they were really freaked out about it, the writers.
We were trying to imagine, crimes that weren't paranormal, that would involve serving terrorism, in this case government-sponsored terrorism. And so we came up with the idea of running an airliner into the World Trade Center in Manhattan.
As a writer, and particularly on the X-Files, that's the kind of stuff you spend your day doing. You're supposed to imagine the unimaginable and the unthinkable. We want to set these characters up as heroes who are going to, unbeknownst to all of us, save the world. What would be a terrible, horrible thing that could happen, unfortunately, was the World Trade Center.
I have to say at the time, if it ever occurred to me, I imagined, well, of course the government has already thought about things like this. Of course there are systems in place to, if we can imagine it, we're just, Hollywood writers. There are people in the Defense Department in Washington, D.C. who are charged with defending our country who think about these things and that there are things in place to defend us against it. And the morning of 9/11,